My friends, I won't mask it. This show, this anime, wasn't without its faults. And if you guys were with me last week, then you know that there was definitely some faults found in episode number 11. But with episode 12, I do truly feel this was a good ending to Tearmoon Empire. I think that the most important thing occurred this episode. And I guess you could summarize it as Mia finding peace or making peace or finally finding understanding on the events that led up to her inevitable death originally. Now, before I talk about that, there is one thing at the end where the narrator was like, this is a story of our selfish princess and stuff. And through the discovery of what I just mentioned, which is her finding out the truth of what led up to her being on the guillotine, we basically found out that Princess Mia was just a vessel or a tool for someone else to push an agenda and to make what happened happen. So essentially what we found out in this story is, yes, she was a selfish princess. Yes, she was a little stupid, but she didn't inherently mean bad. She just truly didn't have understanding, which goes back to the second of the stupidity part, is she just didn't have a clear understanding of the world that surrounded her. She was very segregated off to where like she really only understood the direct things going on in her life. So she wasn't a bad person inherently to deserve anything that happened to her. She was just an easy target or pawn to have been used in someone else's ploy to make other political and catastrophic things occur. And I think her finding that out is going to be a huge catalyst for all the things that we won't see in this writer's story, because I'm assuming that it ended. I'm assuming that we're not getting any more from this show. You can pretty much tell this is a definitive, like, closed case, but story goes on kind of thing, kind of show, and probably kind of light novel or manga, wherever this source is taken from, which is completely okay. But now we can kind of use our imagination and say, okay, well, she can use all the lessons that she's learned up to this point, saving herself from the guillotine. Once she figured out she saved herself from the guillotine, she found out there's going to continue to be a bunch of different hardships that continue to occur, that continue to challenge her new status quo. And she can use her horrific knowledge and her new knowledge to kind of carve a way forward. And as she continues to get misrepresented and misjudged by the things that she says, she can use that knowledge into saying, okay, well, I said XYZ, but they understood it as ABC. Now I understand ABC. I don't know how they got there, because that's not what I said at all, but now I can push a way forward. She can continue to use those lessons moving forward, which I think is really impactful. So I like the way this ended. I like her catching a flower petal, the same flower petal, cherry blossom petal, whatever it is. On the day she was executed, she saw the petals in the sky. This day she saw the petals again. Really like the way that ended a lot too. And the narrator and her together saying, now Mia is going to protect what matters most to her, which is her happiness and the people around her. She found love, she found allies, she found a way to use people's inherent talents, which is really cool. And she's not completely unaware that she's not the smartest person, but she can continue to use the smart people around her with prior knowledge and new knowledge to kind of make things better, which I really, really like a lot. I also, I alluded to this already and I already kind of talked about it, but I also really like with her finding out what occurred. I like her finding out that it wasn't necessarily 𝐒𝐻𝐚 that led to her downfall. It was kind of the people within his kingdom that instigated a lot of this. And I really like that as well, too. I also really like that, which I actually found it really funny and I really laughed, that the reason that she saved the people who, were against them, the reason that she said she saved Jem and his weird group of people was not to be overly nice or to say like, oh, I don't want them to get executed, I know how that feels kind of thing. It was more of like, well, if they get executed, there's a chance that they could get a second chance at life and then they're going to come back after me. So she's like, let me just make sure that they don't die. And I'm not going to worry about, so I love her thought process there. And I like how it worked out. She assigned them to the church's princess, right? The saint princess, whatever. And she's lecturing them daily, which you imagine eventually is going to reform these dudes, and then they're going to then spill the beans on everything that happened, because they didn't act alone. They're just an entity of another entity. And even the narrator was like, oh, well, little did Mia know that by doing this, the darkness that quells within the depths of the kingdom are going to arise based on her. You know, they're going to be kind of put in the forefront based on her actions this day, which is like, oh, so good. And it's only going to then accentuate the fact that she's the wisdom of the empire based on this knowledge that people are going to think, wow, she knew about this early on. So good. Anyways, it's been a journey. I think Tearmoon Empire really is one of the best new anime of the spring season or the fall season. I'm 2 seasons ahead already. I think it was one of the best new anime of the fall season. I think it's awesome, and I don't know if this has been dubbed. This has not been dubbed yet, but this is definitely one of those, like, if this gets dubbed, if High Dive or Crunchyroll, not Netflix, I'd rather this not be dubbed, but if one of those 2 entities pick this up, I think this is a really, really good candidate for a dud, because I think this would definitely put it in more people's more people's awareness. This is currently on Crunchyroll. With Crunchy, it's one of those things to where it's if it hasn't been dubbed already, there's not a great sign of it being dubbed. But sometimes they do end up going back to old anime and dubbing them, so it's really weird. But I hope this does get picked up, because I think this would definitely be one of those candidates for a really good dubbed anime. I think a lot of people who didn't watch it because it's dubbed would watch it, and they'd be like, "Oh wow, this is hilarious." So, anyways, thank you guys so much for being with me all season long. This was an awesome fall season. Can't wait to see you guys in the wintertime as we take on a whole buttload of new anime, which outside of like a few returning, like Classroom of the Elite and Marshall, I haven't really looked into what's coming. So I know there's a lot of returning anime that I've covered here on the channel before that's coming back. I'm gonna just kind of deep dive into there as I focus always, unless it's an anime that I'm really, really attached to. I probably will focus on new anime this season, but there might be one that sneaks in there like Tsukimichi or like Classroom of the Elite, just because I really like those anime quite a bit. So there might be onesie twosies that sneak in as a season 2, but for the most part, we're going to focus on new anime. So if you want to see that this upcoming week, I'll have what anime I'm watching. All right, my friends, I talked too long. Peace out. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.